You type a raw prompt, the AI hands back a mediocre draft, and you hit regenerate, hoping the machine gets it right the second time. It is a lot like ordering takeout. You describe what you want, wait for the delivery, and if the meal arrives wrong, you send it back and wait for the kitchen to blindly guess what you actually meant. In systems engineering, detecting an error after the fact and attempting a correction is called a validation loop. A validation loop works for coding due to rigid pass and fail conditions. Writing lacks this metric, so the machine cannot learn why you rejected the output. Regenerating without altering your input is a blind attempt. You receive a new version of the exact same error. Each click of the regenerate button is a digital slot machine, a bet that the next random generation will somehow align with your goal through sheer chance. To eliminate those errors, we have to shift away from reactive feedback and look at a principle called feed-forward control. This is the practice of rigorously conditioning your input so the error never occurs in the first place. Think of a master chef. They dictate the precise weight, cut, and quality of every single ingredient before any heat is applied. The final quality of the dish is determined before the cooking even starts. This explains why standard AI advice fails. Telling a user to add context or be specific does not establish this kind of upfront control. Subjective guidelines cannot command a machine. If you want reliable results, you have to replace soft suggestions with a measurable system of variables. For AI writing to be consistently excellent, your inputs must be standardized, they must be measurable, and explicitly scored. This radar chart maps out the prompt refiner methodology using 5 critical variables: context, constraints, tone, goal, and audience. When you type a raw, casual, takeout prompt, it plots onto the chart like this, registering extremely low scores across all 5 quantitative metrics. But when you actively define your context and constraints, you build structural walls. The radar chart expands outward along those axes. Explicitly defining tone and goal clarity removes the AI's ability to hallucinate your intent, pushing those metrics to maximum alignment. Finally, locking in your audience definition completes the shape. The chart maximizes into a perfectly balanced, scored geometric form. This fully expanded framework acts as a rigid, impermeable mold. The language model has no choice but to conform to the boundaries you established. By scoring these input variables, you replace the unpredictable, subjective task of creative writing with a predictable, engineered process. You transition from a mere gambler pulling a digital lever into a master architect building a deliberate structural framework. Tossing loose thoughts into an AI black box and hoping it hands back a usable draft creates a chaotic and inefficient workflow. Mastery over artificial intelligence requires architecting the exact boundary conditions of a task so that the machine is forced to operate within your specific requirements. The competitive advantage shifts to those who stop gambling on output regenerations and start designing the exact input conditions required for a high-quality result.